Okay, this is going to be interview one of two. It is around 2:23 p.m. and I'm going to be interviewing.
Tanya Beltran.
Okay, Tanya, thank you. Can you go ahead and give me your age and where you migrated from?
Yeah, so I was born in Mexico City in 1985, which makes me 40 years old. My family migrated to the United States when I was 3 years old. We first settled in what is known as Inglewood now, but back then was Lenox, California.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. Can you tell me where you grew up and a little bit about the everyday life?
When we arrived in California, we moved into what I now recognize to be the projects. Growing up there in the 90s, it was rough because we had a lot of gangs, and hearing gunshots at night was normal to us. But despite that, our community was very strong. We had support, neighbors, love, and lots of laughter. I remember just laughing with all the neighbors, and we used to be able to play outside, and it's good memories. My father worked graveyard shift, and my mother worked the morning, so she took the bus every morning. My school was behind my house, so I was able to walk by myself every day. But even though like their schedules were busy, we always had dinner together. There was no exception to that. We always had to sit down and have dinner together. I had a lot of friends in the neighborhood. We had a lot of families that had also immigrated from Mexico, so our schools was filled with kids who looked like me. So never really experienced any racism or anything. It just felt more like a community within the same people.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. Also, were there any gender roles or daily routines at the time?
There was maybe there was a little bit of gender rules because my parents were from Mexico. They grew up very I don't know what you would call it. They had roles where my mom would stay home also to cook and clean, but she also had to work. So that was a hard decision because normally in Mexico she would be the ones taking care of the kids, but when they moved over here, the economy was bad that they couldn't afford for my mom not to work. She had to also get a job. So that was really hard on my dad for a bit.
Okay. And for my community change question, from the first time you left Mexico to modern day, have you seen a change in the community? And is there any important places to you that disappeared?
Yeah, so we grew around Inglewood on Hawthorne. One of the biggest changes that I see now is that a lot of the local communities, businesses have disappeared. We had a lot of small family owned shops that gathered around the neighborhood that made its character unique. I still remember this place where we used to go, and we called her the burrito lady, but she made some of the best burritos in the city. But unfortunately, she had to close because her business, due to high rent and inflation. So over the past years, I've just seen a lot of mom and pop shops disappear and replaced by larger franchises. I remember going to Starbucks and we had to drive like 15 minutes. Now there's one in every corner. Um, that's just some of the changes I've seen.
Okay, thank you. And for my discrimination and acceptance questions, coming from a family who migrated in the early years, was there an acceptance or rejection to the community towards you?
Now, as I mentioned, the community we moved in was filled with people that looked like us. A lot of people were migrating, and once a family knew that they could establish life there, we would they would let the other families know. So it seemed like they were all just coming almost at the same time we were. The school was mostly Latino. Um, yeah, and then what changed from we did have a lot of family within the same area. But as we got older, people started moving out of the what we say the hood. We moved to Hawthorne in 1997. My parents bought a house there, and yeah, it was a different environment than the original one in Lenox that we stopped. It wasn't as it was more Caucasians and Asian people, mixture of that.
Okay, thank you. And for my cultural traditions question, were you raised in a specific culture? If so, what's been lost or changed throughout the years?
I was raised deeply connected to my Mexican culture. Family gatherings were constant. Holidays, birthday, weekends, getting together was were always happening. There was always something to celebrate with the family. But yes, time passed, everyone moved around, and kind of lost that. Um, we still try to hold some of those cultures and roots, by celebrating things like your Pixie's quinceañera, going back to Mexico to be able to celebrate with the family that is not able to be here for those special events.
Okay. And growing up too, did you go to church or did you follow any
My parents went to we went to church in the beginning. Um, after after the accident with my sister, we kind of stopped going to church.
Okay. I'm sorry for your loss. Did and now going to my relationship with other groups, have you experienced or seen tension with other ethnic communities?
In high school, I did. Like when I was in high school, the last 2 years, it was like 1998 to 1999. There was a lot of like race wars, blacks against Hispanic. But I mean, we got through it. It was just like that period of time. I don't even remember why, because we used to be so unified, and during those periods, it just became a competition and a war.
Okay, thank you. And for my resistance and survival question, was there any strategies that your family did to keep the culture alive?
I think just having dinners together really changed the dynamic of the busyness and the the work life that, the American dream really was to work. So having those dinners at home, I think, really helped.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you for your time, Tanya. That's all I have. And appreciate everything.